It is another country trying to rob them of the way of life, and I think that makes the society just kind of band together in a way that I haven't seen outside of war.
There is no electricity in Lviv, Odessa, and Kyiv, and much of the rest of Ukraine. Russian missiles have left half of the power grid in need of repair. Let's speak to Sergio Olmos, who's a Wall Street Journal reporter in Kyiv. Um, Morning to you, Sergio. Can you give us an idea of what it's like in Kyiv right now?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm a freelance journalist. I do not work for the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, in Kyiv, it is much of the city is still without running water. For example, my building does not have running water since yesterday, since the missile strikes began. Parts of the city are still without electricity, and depending on where you live, the power outages are getting longer. Um, uh, Here in the city center, it's still pretty okay. But if you go out to some of the suburbs or the outer areas, the left bank, those power outages are getting a little unpredictable, and it's really tough for people. I know one man who's a tech worker. He's an IT,
Mm.
and he's describing just running from kind of he rents an office in a different part of town. He describes running from like place to place to try to make meetings happen because the outages just they're just so unpredictable, and it's really tough for people.
And take us through what you know about what actually happened. What did the missiles actually attack? Did they was it a kind of the electricity stations, or was it specific infrastructure within specific parts of Ukraine?
Yes. So yesterday there was about 67 missiles, Ukrainian officials said, launched into the country. 51 were shot down, 30 were aimed at Kyiv, and we know that one power station was hit here in Kyiv, and a residential building was hit in Kyiv. At least four were killed. And these power stations have been targeted before, so about 40% of Ukraine's energy capacity has been decimated from missile strikes. And the issue is that they launch these missiles in conjunction with drones,
Mm.
and it makes it really tough for the air defense to kind of get them all.
Now, Sergio, we've spoken to you, excuse me, excuse me, many times in Kiev, and I don't know whether you come and go or whether you stay there the entire time. This time around, I mean, you get the impression that Ukrainians are pretty tough people, and that they can get through almost anything. Is that the impression you get from people you speak to? I mean, you were talking about that tech guy who was just kind of like running around, looking for places to kind of get power or get internet. What would you say the prevailing attitude is of people in Kiev?
Yeah, I've been in Ukraine since March 28th, so almost 8 months, and I haven't left. And
Mm.
my sense of the resiliency, because there is an incredible resiliency here, but I think the reason that people are so resilient is not necessarily because they're, just kind of born tougher or anything like that. Ukrainians are pretty tough people, but I think what it is everybody understands the reasons they're going through this, and I think that makes the hardships just a little easier. The electrical outages, the lack of running water, the lack of the shortages in food and stuff, and different. All of that is because another country is attacking them and trying to take away their way of life. And because everybody understands that, and you ask people, everybody understands the war, and they talk about it. They're following the updates every day, and because of all that, the motivation is quite clear. And so everybody's just kind of on the same page. And I think that's what makes the hardships easier, is that it's not bureaucratic, mess ups or incompetence or corruption. It is another country trying to rob them of the way of life, and I think that makes the society just kind of band together in a way that I haven't seen outside of war.
Mm. And just finally, how has the power situation affected your ability to do your job in any way?
A little bit, yeah. The running water can actually become really problematic if it's after like 24 hours. I was just in Mykolaiv when we were covering Kherson, and there it's seawater, it's like salty water. That
Mm.
that becomes an issue as well after 24 hours. But mostly you adapt, just like everyone here. I think for journalists, we carry a lot of gear, and we get to avoid some of the real hurdles, right? We have extra batteries, and all that. But for people living here, especially like that tech worker I talked about,
Mm.
he doesn't tell his boss that there's outages. He just kind of, runs from power to power to try to make meetings. And I think about that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will too after you've told us about it. Sergio, thank you. That is Sergio Olmos. He's Olmos. He is a freelance reporter. He's speaking to us from Kyiv.